everybody, welcome to my very first YouTube video. I'm really excited to start this channel, and what I see this channel being is just a way for me to share my passion, my love of baking and decorating cookies and cakes and cupcakes and all that fun stuff, and just to share a little bit of what I've learned over the years, some tips, and maybe you can share your tips and things with me. Okay, so some tips for making a really good cookie dough. The first thing is when I was making my cookies and they were not holding their shape, they were not being nice and thick, what I decided probably was going on was I was using margarine and not butter. And the cookie instructor at Cake Stuff said that's a pretty common thing that happens because margarine's cheaper and people think it's the same thing, but it is definitely not the same thing, especially when you're baking, and you probably have figured that out. So I use real butter now, and one of the tips that she gave us was you can use salted or unsalted butter, but if you use the salted butter, you don't have to add the salt in your recipe. You've already got it in your butter. So that's one less step you have to take. I mean, everybody usually has salt, so that's not an issue. But the butter costs the same whether you buy salted or unsalted, so I just go ahead and buy the salted butter and problem solved. I don't have a particular brand I care for. The instructor definitely had her brand that she liked. But I just buy whatever is cheapest. Sometimes the store brands like Land O'Lakes or other brands are the same price as the off-brand. It just really depends. But I just buy whatever is the cheapest out there, and it works great. So this is the Walmart brand, Great Value, with the butter, salted butter, and that's what I use. Another thing is you want to let it get room temperature and soft. Okay, so mine is just about ready. It doesn't feel really cold. It doesn't feel really warm. It's not real melty yet. Don't put it in the microwave. Don't put it in the microwave, okay? It'll get too hot and it'll start like melting and breaking down. Don't put it in the microwave, okay? All right. You can also leave your eggs out to get room temperature. I always put mine out when I'm making chocolate chip cookies, sugar cookies, when I bake cakes. I always leave them out. I found out they're kind of easier to crack. I'm not a really good egg cracker person. I don't do really well. Sometimes I have to fish off the shells. They seem to crack better when they're warmer. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but that's what I've noticed. So anyway, I leave mine out at room temperature. Okay, let me just show you my other supplies. Oh, I can't flip it around. So this is all my stuff. I've got my flour with my baking powder. Okay, baking powder, not baking soda. There is a difference. My butter, yes, my recipe takes 4 sticks of butter, which is a pound, and it's insane. And then my sugar, and then the vanilla. You can use regular vanilla. You can use clear vanilla. If you want to have that really pretty sugar cookie color, use the clear vanilla. If you don't have it, it is a little bit more expensive. I get mine at Hobby Lobby. It was $1.99, and I went and used my 40% off coupon, so whatever that turns out to be, it just saves a little bit of money. So anyway, clear vanilla, regular vanilla. If you do use the regular brown vanilla, it will have a little darker of a color, but again, that's just really maybe a preference and not so much it's bad, okay? So clear vanilla, dark vanilla, whichever you like. It's completely up to you. I just happen to have a lot of clear vanilla on hand because I bake with it with my cookies, with my icing, and that's what I use, okay? So here in a minute, I'm going to cream my sugar, my eggs, and my butter all together. Then I'm going to add my flour and my vanilla, and I'll get a nice, yummy cookie dough ready to roll out. And then once you do that, you have this really great cookie dough. It's not coming apart. It's not too crumbly because that would mean it's too dry. And it's not sticking to my fingers, so it's not too wet. It's the perfect consistency for a good cookie dough. This is a lot of cookie dough. The recipe I make says it will make 5 dozen cookies. Now, if it really makes that, we'll see, because it depends on the size of your cookie. The cutter that you're using will really determine how many cookies you can get. I've gotten it exactly where I had 5 dozen. Sometimes I get 3 dozen. It just really depends. So we'll see how many we get with my little unicorn cookie cutter. Now, one thing I always do before I roll it out is to chill it. Now, I have left it in my stand mixer bowl and chilled it, and that was kind of a mistake because I don't know if it's the stainless steel, it gets too cold, or I'm not really sure what happened, but it was really hard to get out of the stainless steel bowl. So I will transfer this to one of my plastic bowls and leave it in there for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna eat supper here in a minute. Will not eat the cookie dough. It has raw eggs in it, so although, you know, we ate it for years growing up, don't eat it because it's got raw eggs in it. That's my disclaimer. So anyway, I'm gonna let it chill. It handles a lot better when it's chilled. And there will be several different processes of chilling it as we go along making these cookies. So that's one thing I'm gonna do. Another thing I'm gonna do, I'll preheat my oven to 350 degrees. I think it's 350. I'll double check my recipe. But whatever the temperature is in your recipe, you wanna make sure your oven is nice and hot. At least the lady at the cookie class I took, she said about 30 minutes before you're gonna bake your cookies. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my oven preheating, and that way I'll make sure I have a nice hot oven. Hi, Soph. And then hot oven plus chilled cookie dough equals really nice cookies that will hold their shape and come out beautifully colored and everything like that. No, you can't have a root beer. We're gonna have to set some parameters up while I'm filming, I can tell already. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do now. So I'm just gonna transfer this to another bowl, put it in the fridge, let it chill for a while, eat my supper, get my oven preheated, and then we're gonna go to town. So hang in there with me, guys. All right, everybody, so here we are. I got my dough in a plastic mixing bowl and it's chilled. This is a lot of dough to work with, so I usually work with it in sections. And I'll just show you what I've got going on here. I like a nice, clean working space. So I have a couple of parchment sheets laid out. And the reason I do that is because if you add flour to the countertop hang on a second, let me get this off. Okay, so if you add flour, you can add flour to the countertop and roll out your dough so it won't stick. But it will also kind of change the consistency of your dough, and it'll start to dry, the flour will start to dry your dough out a little bit. So one of the tips I've learned is to put the cookie dough on parchment paper, and then I'm taking my second piece of parchment paper, I'm going to put it over my dough, and then I'm going to roll it out. To roll out your cookie dough, you want to use, you want to roll it out to 1/4 inch of thickness. Okay, so there's a couple ways you can do it. You can buy, essentially they're kind of like dowel rods. They're sticks, and you can put it next to your dough and roll it out. And when it rolls out flat to the depth of those rods, and it doesn't grow anymore, you have essentially rolled it out to 1/4 inch. You can use a ruler, which I used to do. I used to get my ruler out and look and see how thick it was, and that took forever. It wasn't always exactly even, and it just was kind of a headache. So then my wonderful husband, when we were at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri at one time earlier this year, there's a place where they turn wood projects on a lathe. And one of the things that they make are rolling pins, and specifically they make this rolling pin. And what this does is you roll it out. It has like a little lip here. You can see that. That is 1/4 of an inch in thickness. And so what happens is I put this on a surface as I'm rolling. When I get to 1/4 of an inch thickness, my dough will, quit rolling out. It'll be even and flat, and it'll be the right thickness all at one time. So I don't have to mess with that measuring. I know as when I'm rolling it out, it's done, I'm ready to go. This was a great gift that he got me. It's benefited me so much. If you have, I don't think you have to go to Silver Dollar City to buy these. I've seen them in other stores, probably Bed Bath & Beyond, other cooking stores probably have something like this. Just watch your depth, your thickness. I've seen 1/4 of an inch, I've seen 1/2 inch for like biscuits. So you want to make sure you get the 1/4 inch. However you do it, you want to make sure that's the thickness that you roll your dough out to. So here in a minute, I'll show you how I roll the dough out. Like I said, I work with sections at a time. It could make it a little time consuming, but in the long run, it helps. It just makes it a little bit easier to handle when you're not working with a ton of dough all at once. I'm going to pull out a little bit of my dough. I'm going to put the rest back in the fridge to keep it cool again, and then we'll go from there. Now, because I've got my oven preheating and I have my dough out, it's starting to get room temperature, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this on a baking sheet and just stick it in the fridge for about 5 minutes, maybe that long, just to get it chilled again. Sophie, please don't do that. Just to get it chilled again, because it's just going to make it easier to get it to cut out a nice clean lines when your dough is a little bit more chilled. So this will go back into the fridge for about 5 more minutes. Usually what I do, I kind of get in a rhythm. I'll roll it out, I'll chill it, I'll grab another thing of dough, roll it out. By the time I get that rolled out, I'm ready to take the chilled dough that I've already rolled out and start cutting. Then I can bake, and you kind of get in a rhythm as you're baking a bunch of cookies, and before you know it, you've got it all rolled out, all cut and baked in a matter of 30 minutes, an hour, something like that. So back in the fridge this goes. I'm going to roll out my other dough, and we'll see what happens. Okay, here we are. This is Sophie, my daughter. She's going to be 8 in a couple of weeks, and she's the one for whom we are making the cookies for. And she's going to help me cut them out. So in a video on my Facebook page, The Cake Lady, I talked about this cookie cutter that we got. I got it off of a really cute website, which I'll post in the link below. And it is a 3D printed cupcake, or a cupcake, 3D printed cookie cutter. And, oops, well, I'll have to wash that real quick. But, and I'm glad I dropped it, because let's talk about washing these 3D cookie cutters. You can't just immerse them in water, and you have to wash them in warm, soapy water. So
you said soapy
water. So what you do is you just get a little bit of soapy water and just don't put it in the water and immerse it. Like I said, you have to just wash it that way and quickly dry it. And they should last just like a regular cookie cutter should last, and should be no problem. So I'm going to go rinse this off, wash it real quick since I dropped it, and we will get to cutting. Alright, so Sophie, are you ready to cut out some cookies?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so what you're going to do is to cut out a cookie. I mean, it's pretty simple. You've probably done this a million times, but you're going to put it on your cookie dough and then just firmly press down. So go for it. So push down all the way. Alright, did you get it?
Yeah, I think so.
And you can even kind of push and kind of wiggle it a little bit.
Okay.
Now pull straight up. And, yep. So we
Yep,
had
there's
a little bit of a stand. So let's try that again. Don't pull up so quickly. Just do it real gently. Try it again. Push down. Wiggle. Here, I'll pull straight up. How's that? Okay.
Okay.
So you got it really down. And then just
can-
gonna very carefully wiggle.
I really want to try to do that.
Okay. So once you do that one, now you want to place them.
Yeah.
You can kind of
Wait,
stagger them to where you cut as much out at once as you can.
Okay.
So let's put that one right here.
Okay.
All right. Push straight down. Make sure you get the horn part too. Straight down. Now gently pull straight up. Very good.
Yay.
And so when you're dealing with a cookie cutter like this where you have some smaller areas like the horn, the ears, and this part right here, you want to just make sure you're very gentle and not try to pull it out. We're going to remove the excess cookie dough that we will re-roll here in a little bit.
This is going to be hard.
You think it's going to be hard?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think it's going to be
Well,
easy.
you do it all the time, so.
Yeah, and the more you do it, the more you'll get better at it. Now we could leave this one like that. It's just whatever we want to do. So here in a minute, we'll cut out some more. We'll remove the excess cookie dough. We'll put them on a baking sheet, and then we'll bake them. All right, Sophie, sound good? All right. All right, so we got all the cookies cut out, got them baked. It only takes about 8 minutes per batch to get them baked. It's a really quick and easy thing to do. And I like to do mine one pan at a time. I don't know if you have this problem, but when I bake in my oven, if I have two things on the two different racks, the top rack usually does pretty good. The second rack, it takes it a little bit longer. So rather than having to worry about that, I just do it one pan at a time. It only is 8 minutes long, so it really doesn't take that long. And so I'll show you what we've got going on here. We have some nice looking cookies. So all I'm going to do right now is let them finish cooling off. Want them to be completely cool before you handle them, or else they're going to fall apart. And I have a couple of packages of the dough left over. I only made about 32 cookies because that's really all I need for Sophie's birthday. So what I'm going to do with the rest of the dough is make some other special cookies with my son, and we will do a little video about us making those and decorating them. You'll definitely want to tune in for that because it's going to be really cool. So here in my kitchen, I'm going to sign off and get these cooled. I'll package them and freeze them. That's the thing about sugar cookies. You can bake a bunch ahead of time. Let me put this on my stand real quick. You can put the sugar cookies, you can bake them ahead of time and either keep them in the refrigerator or you can put them in the freezer. They freeze very well, and then when you get ready to decorate them, thaw them, let them come to room temperature, and then you can bake, and then you can decorate. And so her birthday party is not, well, her birthday is the 24th, her party's on the 23rd, and we'll give these cookies to her class either the Wednesday night before her birthday or the Wednesday night after. So we have some time before we really need to bake them, so or to decorate them. So I'm really tired. It's been a long day. So I'm just gonna let these cool. I feel really good about getting this over and done with and behind me. I don't have to worry about it. I baked 32. It's always good to have a few extra because, especially this cookie, it's very delicate. The horn could break off. The little cake stand could break off. Anytime you have little pieces like right here, this little part right here, and even this part, cutting them out was a little tricky. So even though it's baked now and it's a little bit more stable, you're still going to have some issues with breakage. So you always want to make a few extra just in case one breaks off or something like that. So anyway, we're going to leave these to cool. I'm not going to touch them until they're completely done, and get them frozen and check back later on. We're going to have a time where I'm going to decorate them and just kind of go from there. I really hope you enjoy this video. I know this one was kind of long. Next time we won't have like a whole how to bake cookies or how to make the cookie dough. Since we've already covered it, you already know how to do that now. I hope you found the tips interesting and helpful. If you have any tips for making really good sugar cookies, please stick them down in the comment section below. Be sure to like my video and subscribe to this channel so you can get notifications for all the new videos that I'll have posted. So from my kitchen to yours, thank you and have a great night.